guys have seen this in my earlier videos. We got the floor scraper that scrapes all the manure to the barn cleaner down there and takes it out to a holding pit. And for the most part, this pretty much works as it should. Happy with the scrapers, they do a good job. You can see the floor is nice and clean, but the problem that we're having is the scrapers getting hung up on these grates, and as you can see, these things have gotten bent up a little bit from the sled catching on the corner right in there. And so you just got to play with it and adjust where it stops. So if you stop it just before the grate, you get a little triangle of manure that you got to scrape in with a hoe, and it seems like that's what we like. It's not a lot of work, and you don't have to worry about it hanging up on the grates whatsoever. I do wish that the touchscreen was a little more user-friendly on this thing. I think they could have done a much better job. I mean, you can get into the menus, you got settings, you can set how fast you want it to travel. Like right now it's doing 5.8 feet per minute, which seems to be really good for the cows. They don't mind it at all. They just step over it as it comes to them. You can crank it up to about 8 feet per minute, which I only do that if I want to move them quickly to bed down the barn or something. So auxiliary settings, that's for setting the Patz barn cleaner that's in the trough. So right now it's set to turn on when the floor scrapers get within 10 feet of the trough. The rest of this stuff, this is how you set where the scrapers stop. We've had to play around with that quite a bit since we started up. So yeah, on and off is right here. The muscle man button, that is for if you had a problem and there's a big mound of manure and it keeps bump stopping, it'll give it a little more power to get it going. Other than that, like you can see, a full pass is 192 feet, and if you wanted to adjust that, you have to clear that out and then stay here while it runs through a 30-minute cycle and stop it. Say if you wanted it at 193, you would have to stop it at 193 and then set that as your length. I think it could have been a lot better if you could actually just go in there and punch in 193.5 or whatever you wanted it to be, but that's not how it's designed, and I don't know, I think it could be a lot more user-friendly. We've had a few issues with this thing. You know, if you're navigating the menus and you wanted to go home, like that looks like a button to put you home, and that will reset your links and stuff. So something to consider, I guess. So once a week you have to grease this system, and a little maintenance light will flash on there until you grease it. So every corner has one of these sprocket units with the grease fitting right here at the top. These ones are obviously easy to get to, and there's a couple fittings on this as well. You can see how the manure builds up on this, and we're told that that's just the way they are, and having never used the system before, we have to trust what they say, I guess. And no real issues here. I had to tighten the chain once, which underneath all this manure is the bolt that you turn to tighten the big chain that goes throughout the barn. So if all that manure is frozen on there, you might have a job trying to get at that bolt. And so I kind of wish that unit was inside the barn. Nobody really told us that those would be outside, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to us, but it is what it is. So out here we have the agitator and the pump in the small tank. This holds about 3 days worth of manure. I don't know if you guys can see in there or not, but it has little sensors in here. When it gets to the top sensor, it will turn on the agitator. It'll agitate for 10 minutes or so to get it all the solids to mix with the liquids, and then the big pump turns on and pumps it out to the big tank down over the hill here. And no real issues with that other than when it got cold. We had a T on the end of the pipe that goes in there that we were just kind of using that to divert the flow a little bit. And it was something that the manure company didn't recommend, and we tried it out and it ended up freezing up and we had a backup. So we took the T off, and since doing that we've had no issues whatsoever. So yeah, that is this system. Anyone that has a Patz barn cleaner, I mean, this looks the same as when I was a kid. This unit is just set down inside instead of up on a chute or something, and this is how you adjust the tightness of this chain. We've done that a couple of times because new chains tend to stretch out, and these are the control units for the system. Everything's on automatic right now, but if you had a problem and wanted to turn it on manually, that's where you do that. So I had mentioned that I'm really happy with the scrapers, and we have an unused one over here because we haven't put cows in this side of the barn, so I can give you a little better look. This is the last time it's this clean. But basically when it backs up, these will flip up so it doesn't drag manure backwards, and then when it goes forward, just gravity makes that go down, and it does a nice job of squeegeeing all the manure to the trough. And when we fire this up, I'm sure we'll have to adjust it so it can't go this far, because once you get fully onto the grate, that seems to be where the trouble starts. No hang-ups on the rubber floor. They told us rubber on rubber. It should last a very long time before we have to replace anything. So all things good there. I can't wait to fill this side up with cows. That would be amazing. I haven't showed you guys our pre-fresh pen. We got a couple of cows in there now. These are pretty far out though. They're 3 weeks from calving. So they're just in here getting their pre-fresh ration. Nice area for them. Happy with it. So the biggest bitch about this whole system is right here. This is where we have one of those grease fittings that we gotta grease. It's underneath of that, and there's also another one right here under all of that. And nobody told us that this pooling would happen at the end of the barn. And no matter how much you scrape and wash it the other way, it doesn't take long for this to build up again. So when you go to get at those grease fittings, you have to sweep away all of that crap and wash it out, and then grease it, which I think is just crazy. And we also put these viewing windows in from our visitor center, so some people could view the inside of the barn here, and all you get to see is Pooh River. So that is the part about this system that is driving all of us crazy right now. So I don't know if anyone else out there has this system and has a cure for this or what, but comment below and let me know. I guess most farms having that pooling wouldn't be that big of a deal, but even forget about the viewing, just to grease it, to have to go through that just does not seem right to me. But other than that, I don't know, the system does work. The barn's clean, the cows are getting cleaner, and we're happy with the job it does. Just a couple of headaches out the gate here. So that'll probably do it for this video. More to come. startup is in 3 days. I don't know how much time I'm gonna have to make videos during that time. I'll try to get one out, and but definitely after startup, I'll tell you guys about all the adventures we had. So until next time, see ya.